Shams Charania just dropped a bombshell on us as he says the Warriors are looking to bring some all-star level talent to the Warriors to pair up with Stephen Curry. So we're going to dive in and look at this report going over the Golden State Warriors and looking at some possible people that are in the trade market already, some names spewing that could possibly be fits for this Warriors team. Welcome back to Swish City. I'm Bruce Velez. Let's get into the video at hand. And like I said in the introduction, the Golden State Warriors are the topic of discussion today as they are actively on the trade market. If we want to look at this report from the NBA Central, courtesy of ESPN NBA, Shams Charania was on ESPN today talking to Malika Andrews, and he confirms that the Warriors are looking for another star player to pair alongside Stephen Curry. And this is great for Warriors fans as Stephen Curry over the last couple seasons has been showing his relentless play to still be a all-star and all-NBA type player for this Warriors team. And he has been very, very significant in doing so. Stephen Curry last was in the NBA Finals just a couple seasons ago and showed us those masterclass performances. And with losing his Splash Brother teammate in Klay Thompson, there have been some glimpses and some signs of success with this Warriors team in that shooting category. But with dealing with some injuries and with some players being out for the entire season with those injuries, it's been tough for the Warriors to really see any glimpses. If we want to look at this Warriors roster here. Like I mentioned, looking at in the standings, they were top of the West, but now they are currently in the middle of the pack at currently in fifth, but not too far behind from being back at the top. So maybe once these players like Stephen Curry can become healthy, can come back together, when a player like Draymond Green can be available, this Warriors team can really showcase and still be one of those top teams in the West, which I am shocked by because if you go back and look at my videos from the preseason rankings before, I was not buying into this Warriors team. So I'm happy that they are able to showcase this and the potential that Steph Curry obviously is still a top tier player and they should still be putting pieces around him and not be going into this youth movement if they want to try to help Steph Curry's case of being the notoriously best point guard and getting some more trophies in his hardware. If we want to look at the Warriors roster, we can see obviously Curry, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond make the most money here for this Warriors team, but there are a lot of young pieces, and this Warriors team was interested in doing some trades in the offseason as well, involving some of these young pieces. Pieces like Jonathan Kuminga, pieces like Moses Moody, where Moses Moody got a late extension and Jonathan Kuminga did not receive a rookie scale extension. Obviously, been dealing with some quarrels with Steve Kerr in playing time and that, but we saw with this team last night, Jonathan Kuminga absolutely explode for this Warriors squad. So could the Warriors have some untapped potential and really be waiting to see if these guys can really fill in and play alongside stars Steph and Draymond, or should they go out and kind of group some of these guys in a package to go out and get a star piece? And my kind of boat is that they should go in and get there. I thought that Markkanen trade would have been a fantastic one. Markkanen is a perfect plug and play piece as a 3-and-D wing to fit this Warrior system. He can stretch the floor, shoot the three, lights out as well. It would have been one of those guys that would have fit the culture at 100%. And if the Warriors truly went in with that move, I could see them being in championship contention in this Western Conference and be honestly one or two minor moves away from being in that championship for revenge going against the Boston Celtics, which would be a great storyline to have Stephen Curry at the end of his career chasing against the Celtics team, which is the new super team. And that would have been some great storylines that we would have gotten to see another rematch. And ultimately, I think that's the direction that the Warriors should go, is that they should go out and acquire a new piece and kind of move off of some of these younger pieces, as it is not the direction that I think they should go in. So we're going to be looking at some guys that are on the trade market that could maybe be finding their names thrown around to the Golden State Warriors. And we'll be analyzing if they're a good fit, if they're a bad fit, and also ultimately what the Warriors would have to give up to get maybe some of those pieces. So the first player we're going to be discussing and breaking down is a player that has been linked to the Warriors in the past, and that is Zach LaVine. And Zach LaVine is a name that was thrown around last season when Klay Thompson was there, but even after Klay Thompson has left, it has still been the possibility of some fans wanting the Warriors to go and get Zach LaVine. And Zach LaVine would be another additive shooter and scorer for this Warriors team, which would be needed to help out that side of things. But one thing that Zach LaVine does lack is defense. And obviously, as we know, that is kind of the glaring issue with Zach LaVine. We know he can be an all-out scorer. We know he can be that guy on a championship team as a third star that can get it going for you. But ultimately, how can he fit in on some teams that aren't the best defensively? And that $40 million contract, obviously increasing, is a scary one as well. But the Warriors could find a way to obviously go out and get LaVine using some of their contracts, throwing in Andrew Wiggins, throwing in D'Anthony Melton, and finding some way to bring in LaVine with some picks. And if the Bulls are looking to do a little bit of a reset, maybe going out and getting this package from the Warriors could be one possible. But I do believe that the Bulls' price will be asking for more than what the Warriors could give them up. Wiggins, D'Anthony Melton, and maybe a young player, maybe Moses Moody I don't think would be enough to move off of Zach LaVine. For the Bulls, I think they could get better packages, and I ultimately think that for the Warriors, they could get some guys that can make some immediate impacts that aren't going to be making $40 million and aren't going to be demanding as much ball in their hands and scoring that Zach LaVine is going to be needed to help this team succeed. Now, again, like I said, the Bulls are in trade rumors. So another player on the Chicago Bulls that has been in the rumors is Nikola Vucevic. And Vucevic, I think, would be the better fit for the Warriors if they're going to be calling up the Bulls to do a trade. Vucevic added some needed size in that front court. Obviously, with Trace Jackson Davis and Draymond Green, they have been a little bit weak. Kevon Looney hasn't looked that promising, player that he had been for the Warriors over the last couple of seasons coming off the bench. And Vucevic adds, again, a lot of offenses that is still needed for this Warriors team, but in that front court to be able to create. Vucevic is also having one of his best seasons so far statistically with the Bulls and is not looking like he is slowing down. And on a cheaper contract as well, $20 million, half of what Zach LaVine makes, it could be a lot easier to add a player like Nikola Vucevic via trade if you are the Warriors, but also could take less to give up, which could also allow you to go out and get other pieces to move around to strengthen your roster. And I think that for the Warriors, they are one of the teams that in this league desperately could add from using a big-time big. And even though Vucevic, once again, is really solid on the offensive side, not the greatest on the defensive side, still think he could be an effective rebounder for this team, scorer in the paint for this squad, and could give some beautiful passes to players along the wings, including Steph Curry, and work solid in a nice little screening run action as a big. I think that Vucevic should be one of the names that the Warriors do keep an eye on if available and if the asking price is right. I think he would be an attainable player. Now for Vucevic, like I said, $20 million would be a little bit easier to get him. It might not have to give up as much youthful potential as well as he's a little bit older than LaVine. Now with these last two players, they are a little bit more long shot kind of trades, but I do think that both of these players could make impacts on this Warriors team. And the first one we're going to be looking at is Brandon Ingram from the New Orleans Pelicans. And the Pelicans have had a weird season this year, obviously trading for DeJounte Murray, trying to make a deep push with some of these young guys, but have just gotten bitten by the injury bug worse than anybody has in the NBA. They obviously have their star player in Zion sidelined in with no timetable to return in with 4 wins, or now 5 wins on the season. We're the worst team in the West before last night. Now they are the second worst team in the Western Conference. And the Pelicans do have some pieces that other NBA franchises could look, and maybe the Pelicans do a little bit of a soft reset here where they say, we are injured, we're battered up, let's take it down a notch and let's go in a little bit of a youthful direction, playing with some of our younger guys who are healthy and trying to get some other pieces. And Ingram could be a solid wing added, again, another additive scorer. I think plays a similar role similar to Zach LaVine, but would be a more impactful player at the wing position for this Warriors team than Zach. I think it is a little bit more likely that the Pelicans would get rid of Brandon Ingram as well to the Golden State Warriors. I just don't necessarily know the package. Like I said, the Warriors might or the Pelicans might want a Jonathan Kuminga or might want to Brandon Pajemski, so the Warriors might call that deal off. But ultimately, I think Ingram could still add some value to this Warriors team as a wing and adding some scoring ability. It just might be a little bit difficult for a trade to kind of go and take place between these two teams due to the fact that the Pelicans' asking price may be too high. The only downfall with Ingram is if you are trading for Ingram, you are expecting to give him an extension. So if the Warriors were expecting to trade Ingram, he would be getting a long-term deal, as Ingram is seeking a $40 million extension last season and still is this season. Will he get $40 million? I don't necessarily know, even if a team does trade for him, but I do think he is worthy of an extension. And lastly, the most far-fetched trade one out there, but could be that piece to help out the Warriors. Let's throw in Jimmy Butler. Now, Jimmy Butler, as we all know, has been a vital piece for this Miami Heat team, bringing them to Eastern Conference Finals, bringing them to the finals versus the Denver Nuggets. But ultimately, the Heat have been a disaster the last couple seasons. Once again, dealing with injuries is obviously an excuse, but some of these players just haven't stepped up. Some of their role players that they've kind of replaced from some of their young, fun, exciting ones that have gone on to get paydays haven't been able to step up and deliver for this team. And Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley also haven't had the greatest relationship over the summer. And the odds for Jimmy Butler's next team have already been coming up. So with the emergence of Tyler Hero, with the Heat kind of going on to a slow start, still dealing with injuries, even with Jimmy Butler, I think the Heat should be pivoting into a little bit of a youthful direction, building in Tyler Hero, building in Jaime Jaquez, building in with Bam Adebayo, and trading away Jimmy Butler to get another young piece or young talent to add to that nucleus to bring some life to the team. And I think that the Warriors would be the perfect team to kind of go out and do that. They were willing to give up Jonathan Kuminga for a player like Jimmy Butler, throw in some salary filler in there, maybe in some draft compensation as well. Go and get a player in Jimmy Butler who, yes, has been dealing with injuries and has not been the same Jimmy Butler as he's been dealing with these injuries consistently for the past 2 years. But I still think Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry could make a key impact that fans are forgetting, as Jimmy would be an incredible defender to add to the nucleus of this three-point shooting team and would really take them up those next levels. And if you're Steph Curry, you're looking for another all-star, a guy that's looking for a payday, a guy who can keep up in contending, I would go out and try to get Jimmy Butler. And then, even if that's the case, we know Jimmy and Embiid have wanted to play. This is a hypothetical, but who's to say that the Warriors don't go all in and try to get a disgruntled Joel Embiid from this year? Having Jimmy Butler, having Steph Curry alongside Jimmy Butler, Embiid, and Curry would be a dynamic trio for the Warriors fans to kind of send off Steph Curry. And even though you'd give up your draft compensation, even though you kind of get rid of everything, it would still set up some great success. But those are my trade proposals. Those are my possibilities. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, what you ultimately think. Like I said, the Warriors are looking to go at a star. They will try to be active on the trade market. So something will happen, even if it's not these specific guys or at this length. The Warriors will make moves. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and peace out, y'all.